Hello, and thank you for watching this regional forecast for the Canadian Prairie. I'm Andrew Pritchard, meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, you guys know it's cold out there. You've been well aware that we're dealing with an outbreak of very cold air across western Canada, all the way up into Alaska. And again, you can see that the big white shading here, that is where we are breaking the color bar with temperatures going over 20 degrees Fahrenheit cooler than they typically are this time of year. And then, of course, on the flip side, the warmer air can be found here across parts of the southeastern United States, and then well off to the top left of your photo here. And on the precipitation forecast, we're talking the next 5 days. I'm changing things up just a little bit here, highlighting total precipitation forecast from the European ensemble, and then we have the precipitation anomaly, so how far above or below average we are for the next 5 days or so. We do have some precipitation to talk about, some snow moving across the region, looking at anywhere from about 4 to 8 millimeters of precipitation over the next 5 days, and that is just a tick above the average for the next 5 days. Now, as we look at the satellite picture, again, you can pick out a couple things. We do have clear skies across central and southern Saskatchewan into Manitoba. That is helping us pick out the snowpack on the ground right there, very heavy across the prairie right now. If we flip it over, though, you can pick out much easier the upper level low that is swirling into the region. You can see it. It's beyond the classic comic shape. We got some wraparound here, a very beautiful upper level cyclone making its way in and bringing some snow with it as it does so. We've also got a powerful storm system, a potent upper level wave beginning to eject across parts of the central and southern United States. Multiple impacts there. We've got a winter storm occurring here across parts of the Central Plains into the upper Midwest. We've got flooding rains across parts of the Midwest, the Ohio River Valley. We're getting 4 inches of rain over the next 3 days right here where our office is in Champaign, Illinois, and that is twice our expected average for the entire month of January. And then on the south side, we're talking about severe weather. It feels like spring across parts of the southern plains with tornadoes and severe weather in the forecast. So a very active pattern across parts of North America as we get ready to head into the weekend. Now, focusing back on the Canadian Prairie, we do have some light snow falling from Grand Prairie down toward Calgary, and eventually that will approach the Edmonton and Medicine Hat areas by the time we get to the end of the day today, and eventually spreading across much of the prairie. We'll take a look at that here in just a moment. With the high-resolution Canadian model, we'll talk about the precipitation forecast in high resolution over the next day and a half. Watching again for light snow to begin emerging from the Rockies here, moving across parts of central and southern Saskatchewan, getting into, I meant to say central and southern Alberta, getting into central and southern Saskatchewan, becoming moderate at times, moderate to heavy at times as it moves through the area here during the day on Saturday. So looking at a snowy Saturday across much of central and southern Saskatchewan as we head through the day. Here would be 6 p.m. That's snow moving across the region, then getting into parts of western Manitoba as we head into the early morning hours on Sunday. As we also head into the early morning hours, watching one more wave of snow emerging across parts of central and southern Alberta, heaviest as you head off toward the south here, so getting toward the Calgary and Medicine Hat areas, talking about potentially some moderate to heavy snow falling during the early morning hours on Saturday as our next area of low pressure sort of swings off to the south of the prairie. Now, taking a longer range look, this will help us understand the pattern as we move forward, watching this first wave of snow making its way through here Friday and Saturday. Here we see it becoming moderate to steady or at times across central and southern Saskatchewan as we head through the day on or the overnight and into the day on Saturday, watching that snow move into western Manitoba and become lighter in nature as we head into Sunday. Now, the next wave starts to make its way in here as we get into early Sunday. You see this more potent upper level low that's going to be forced south by an area of high pressure that's settling in at the surface here across the prairie. So this high pressure, as it dominates the prairie here as we head into the early part or the end of the weekend into early next week, going to kind of force the storm track off to the south. Take the drawings off here and show you what this looks like with the precipitation forecast. Again, watching for some snow across southern portions of Alberta as we end the weekend, getting into Monday morning, but really seeing that area of low pressure kind of deflected off to the south. And we see it reorganize here as it begins to swing into the Great Lakes, bringing some snow perhaps to parts of southern Manitoba as we get into Tuesday morning and then midday Tuesday. We'll look at the precipitable water, talking about the moisture content within the atmosphere. Again, we see the first upper level low swinging into the region right now, bringing moisture with it from the Pacific, wringing that out in the form of some snow across the prairie over the next 24 to 48 hours. We then see high pressure setting in across the prairie. That is going to kind of divert the storm track off to the south and to the west. So we start to see the moisture wrung out of the atmosphere. We're not seeing another storm system kind of come plowing into the prairie. Instead, they're being deflected off to the south till we get to potentially late in the week. That's when we could see this pattern change, and that has impacts both with temperatures and precipitation. The ensemble forecast for total snow accumulation over the next 5 days, so taking it through the weekend on into Monday and Tuesday. Generally, we have good agreement here with about 4 to 8 centimeters of snow, with the heaviest of that right around 6 to 8 centimeters of snow across parts of central Saskatchewan. This would be the area into west central Manitoba that we're talking about potentially some more moderate to heavy snowfall as we head through the day on Saturday into early on Sunday, talking about 4 to 8 millimeters of snow accumulation here, and that would just barely include Regina and then getting into over toward west central Manitoba. We could also see anywhere from 4 to 8 inches or 4 to 8 centimeters of snow here across areas north of the prairie, getting into central and northern Alberta. Elsewhere across the prairie, I do expect some snow here over the next 5 days, especially as we head through Friday, the rest of the Friday, Saturday, and into Sunday, but likely on the lighter side, talking about anywhere from 2 to 5 centimeters of snow. And so that includes you there in Calgary, all the way over toward Winnipeg, where we could see upwards of a couple of centimeters of snow, probably on the lighter side here, between 1 to 3 millimeters of snow. Let's take a look at the surface map then, talking about that area of high pressure that eventually settles in. We're looking at surface level pressure anomalies, watching this first wave. This is the one that brings the snow Friday through Sunday, sneaking through the prairie. After it does so, there it goes, it exits. We watch this area of high pressure begin to settle in and kind of deflect storm systems off to the south. So here comes the next wave, as we talked about here getting into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, being deflected off across the northern plains of the U.S., where it intensifies then across the Great Lakes. We see another area of low pressure right now on Wednesday, deepening off the coast here across parts of the Pacific Northwest. That too deflected off to the south across the United States. And then we look for a pattern change perhaps in the 7 to 10 day time frame. What's it going to take? Well, we're going to need to go ahead and break down the trough that sets itself up across parts of Western Canada. Here we see the first wave rotating through, bringing the snow here this weekend. We see this trough really establishing itself, keeping the cold air anchored across the region. High pressure blocking things up here across the Gulf of Alaska, and then downstream here across parts of the Northeast. What does it take then to kind of break this down? Well, if we take the European ensemble model here, or the long-range EPS here, we start to see this ridge break down here across the Gulf of Alaska. That was not the proper ridge sign, but we start to see this ridge begin to flatten out, and then the low here begins to retrograde. We see the trough right there beginning to sort of retrograde and move back toward the Gulf of Alaska as we head into the January 19th, 20th, and 21st time frame. If we can do that, now this is not a warm pattern by any stretch of the imagination across the Canadian prairie, but this is what I kind of teased early on, saying maybe we can get back to seasonally appropriate levels. If you're going to be well below average as far as temperatures go, the time of year you don't want to do that is January. So if we can climb back to a more seasonally appropriate pattern here across the Canadian prairie, I'm sure that that would be fine with just about everyone. Again, we see the core of the coldest air settling in here as we head into early into midweek, and then potentially seeing that cold air begin to retreat or fade at least back towards seasonally appropriate levels as we head into the end of next week and next weekend. What do temperatures look like then at some select cities? Again, the core of that coldest air, high temperatures around negative 25 in Edmonton as we head through Monday through Thursday and Friday, potentially warming back up as we get to the end of the week. We see the same thing here in Calgary, the core of the coldest air here right during the heart of the next work week, potentially warming back up as we head into the weekend. Similar story in Saskatoon, high temperatures around negative 28 Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, slowly climbing back up toward the end of the week. Similar picture here in Regina. And then as we flip it over to look at Winnipeg, the cold actually not quite as severe over here, although well below average as we get into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, with those high temperatures around negative 20 to negative 23, hopefully starting to warm up as we head into the end of the next week. As always, Eric Snodgrass will have an in-depth look at the evolution of the next 1 to 2 weeks in our Monday morning ag forecast video. I will also be back to talk about the Canadian prairie once again on Monday morning. I hope you have a great day and a wonderful weekend.